Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Value.Venture. So far in this series, we have established the approved project configuration and JDA projects, developer share, landowner share, and construction obligation. Today, we come to one of the most important questions in construction finance. How much money is still required to complete the project, and is that money actually available? This is where we analyze the balance cost to complete and the funding gap. At a basic level, balance cost to complete equals the revised total project cost minus the verified cost incurred till date. But technically, we should not depend only on subtraction. We should also examine the actual remaining scope of work and estimate what it will realistically cost to complete. Why? Because the original budget may no longer be sufficient. Construction rates may have increased, specifications may have changed, additional infrastructure may be required, statutory expenses may still be pending, or the project may have been delayed, which itself increases the completion cost. So, balance cost to complete should always be forward looking. Suppose the original project cost is 120 crore and verified cost incurred is 75 crore. Simple subtraction gives a balance of 45 crore. But after examining the remaining works, escalation, and pending requirements, we may find the realistic estimate to complete is actually higher. We should also separately understand outstanding contractor and vendor liabilities. Suppose 5 crore worth of work is already completed and included in cost incurred, but the contractor hasn't been paid. That 5 crore still requires cash, but it should not be added again to the unfinished construction cost. So we distinguish two things: the cost of work still to be executed and the cash still payable for work already executed. Both matter for funding. Once we establish the remaining requirement, we move to sources to complete. Where will the money come from? Possible sources include committed promoter contribution, available undisbursed construction finance, collectible receivables from already sold units, and projected collections from future sales of unsold inventory. But future sales are not the same as money already available. We need to examine at what price will the units realistically sell? How many can reasonably be sold? And when will customers actually pay? For a RERA registered project, the utilization of customer collections must also be considered in line with the applicable project account mechanism. Once realistic sources and remaining uses are established, we can calculate the funding gap, remaining uses to complete minus realistic sources to complete. For example, if the remaining requirement is 50 crore but realistic sources are only 42 crore, there is an 8 crore funding gap. But here's the catch: even if the final number shows no overall gap, the project may still face a problem. Why? Because of timing. Suppose the project needs 50 crore to complete and future collections are expected to be 60 crore. On paper, everything looks comfortable. But suppose 20 crore is required in the next 4 months. While most collections come only after 9 or 12 months, the project may still run out of cash in between. That is a liquidity mismatch. This is why we examine a month-wise or quarter-wise project cash flow, mapping construction expenditure, outstanding obligations, customer collections, promoter contribution, and loan disbursements. This helps us identify the peak funding gap, the maximum cash shortfall the project may face at any point before completion. Another important check is the project's dependence on future unsold inventory. If the project can complete only if the developer sells a very high number of apartments every month at the full asking price, the funding plan may be aggressive. So we stress test the assumptions. What happens if sales are slower? What if selling prices reduce? What if collections are delayed? If a small change creates a major funding gap, the project carries higher completion risk. So in construction finance, it's not enough to say balance cost is 45 crore. A meaningful appraisal answers: what is the realistic remaining cost? What genuine sources are available? When will those sources come? And will the project face any cash shortfall before completion? Because ultimately, a project does not get completed simply because it has enough value on paper. It gets completed only when sufficient cash is available at the right time to fund the remaining construction. That is the real purpose of balance cost to complete and funding gap analysis. Please subscribe to Value Venture for more such videos. Thank you for watching.